Happy 10th day of Techmas. Have you ever wondered when you're sending an email what CC and BC means? Are you curious about proper email etiquette? Well, today I want to share with you a couple of pointers. Here they are. Alright, so here are a few communication tips for when you're using your email. The first tip deals with the subject line. Make sure that you use a subject line. First and foremost, if you leave it blank, some email clients may block that email from getting through, so your intended recipient will never even get the email. So another thing to think about is if you don't use a subject line, sometimes it will pull the first line of text or even the whole paragraph of text and use that as your subject line. And that gives it a nice big rambling subject. So some pointers, when you're creating a subject, you want it to be as descriptive as possible and also as short as possible. A lot of times people that receive a lot of email throughout the course of a day or a week, they will go through and kind of prioritize which ones they respond to, and usually a very clear subject line that directly relates to the contents of that email usually is something that will help them do that process. So that's tip number one, making sure that you use a subject line. Now the second tip is when to use to, CC, and BCC. Some people aren't even aware of what some of these terms are. Now obviously to is if you're sending an email to somebody, you want to put their email address in that spot. Be careful though, you don't want to send it to everyone you know unless that's the intended recipients of the message. A lot of times people go overboard by putting too many names in that to column. If you are sending it to somebody directly, that means that they need to know that information and they're expected that they act on that information or that you are awaiting a response from them. So use that accordingly. Now the next category is CC, which actually goes back to an era from before email. And this refers to carbon copy. You remember carbon copy. That's where you had to push really hard with the pen so it would go through multiple layers of paper. You got to keep one copy and then the other copies were distributed to different departments. So carbon copy, the idea behind that is that you are sending your email to the people that need to respond to you or need to take action, but you're going to CC the people who should just be kept in the loop. If you are in a CC, there isn't necessarily a general expectation that you are going to be replying or taking action to it. It's just keeping you informed of what was in that information. So that's what carbon copy is for. Now BCC is blind carbon copy. This is where you don't want any of the other recipients of your email to know that you sent it to this person. Now, the main reason why you want to use this is if you are sending email outside of our school organization to a lot of different people, maybe a lot of different parents for a whole class, or a lot of people that don't know each other, that's where you want to blind carbon copy them. They will receive a copy of the email, but they will not see any of the other names or emails. I'm sure you can all recall some times where you've received an email where you had to scroll through name after name after name. Well, that could potentially be a privacy issue. Because a lot of people, when they sign up for something or give you their email, they don't want you to share it with everyone else. So please respect that. And if you are sending it to a group of people that don't know each other, especially outside of the district, put them in the blind carbon copy. Now, when you're doing blind carbon copy, it is still going to require you to put something in the to box. So I recently had a question from somebody where they said, well, it won't let me send the email. What do I put in there? Just put your email in there. That way, the recipient will see your email and they'll also see theirs, but they won't see anyone else. So that's the perfect opportunity to use blind carbon copy. Now, the next important tip deals with reply and reply all. Now, when you go to reply to somebody, it's very important that you are staying on the same topic thread that they had originally sent. So if they send you a question or something about a given topic, don't reply with something completely different. Some people organize their email into groups based off of the messages. So if you have a pressing issue that isn't related to what they sent, they might not read it right away. So you only want to reply within that topic. If it's a different topic, send them a brand new email. Now reply all can be tricky. You have to be careful, especially if there's large lists of email from people. If you do a reply all, every single one of those people will get that copy. So what that really equates to is they have to read the same message over and over and over again. Now, reply all is okay if everyone needs to hear your response. But a lot of times, you could just do with doing a quick reply where you're only responding to the original sender, not everybody else. So in terms of email etiquette, be very careful when you do reply all. So those are just a couple of real quick tips on how to be more effective with your communication using email. Hopefully you found this tip helpful. Have an excellent day.